Good afternoon, Razorback Nation. We are back with your Sunday episode of Razor Recap here, brought to you by Razor Pigs. Looking good, never felt so fun, y'all. Razor Pigs is the Arkansas-born brand, bringing some serious style to the golf course, tailgate, and everywhere in between. From high-quality polos to head-turning hats, they've got what you need to rep the natural state with pride. Found it right here at home, and now run by Razorback-loving family, Razor Pigs. It's where comfort meets cool. So go hog wild and shop Razor Pigs today at razorpigs.us. You can see one example of the mini hats they have right there on Hobbs' head. They've got that same hat in red and black as well. So you can go check them out today and get your fantastic Razorback apparel from Razor Pigs. And can't forget about Scarlet Letter, Arkansas's very own handcrafted spiked seltzer. You can check them out today. And if you're in Northwest Arkansas, check out the Core Brewery Tap Room, where you can get Scarlet Letter and all of its various flavors on tap, as well as their new hard teas that they have on tap as well, and original, raspberry, and peach. So get out there, go check out Core Brewery Tap Room, and have yourself a seltzer or hard tea. And we'll dive into it. So season ended, unfortunately, earlier this week, but Arkansas did get some good news yesterday with one Wehiwa Aloy winning the Golden Spikes Award. Never in doubt, in my opinion. You know, we talked to Chris from SEC Unfiltered last week, and he said, you know, to him it was his to lose, and you know, with his performance that he had in the College World Series, having a couple really good games, you know, I'm not surprised that he ended up winning it compared to the other two guys that he was finalists with. But he is now Arkansas's third Golden Spikes winner, with joining Andrew Benintendi and Kevin Kopps as the three Golden Spikes winners for Arkansas. Your guys' thoughts on Wehiwa and winning the Golden Spikes?
Yeah, it was. We all kind of just knew it was his to lose. The biggest guy was the kid from Florida State, who
Alex
actually
Lodiz.
had a better. Yeah, Lodiz, he had a better batting average than Aloy and everything. But you got to think that he also plays in the ACC and all that stuff. I think it was probably a little bit closer, like in like how good they are. But you know, Aloy made it to the College World Series. He plays in the SEC. He just had that edge that Lodiz didn't. So yeah, no, it's a cool thing. I wish that Arkansas was playing in that game. But you know, the day he got yesterday when he was awarded it, that would have been much better. It would have been a cool thing to see. But you know, it is what it is, and as awesome as it is, it just feels like a consolation prize at this time, you know, because everybody, you know, we've already seen guys get Golden Spikes. we really just want that that national championship. So, but great individual, you know, award for him, and he's going to make himself, you know, a lot of money in the next few years. In the minors, and then hopefully going into the major. So yeah, it's a very cool thing to see.
Yeah, like you said, it was pretty much his. Didn't really see the other two guys winning it. Guy from Florida State's a heck of a ball player, but you know, and then Liam Dole, you know, if it wasn't for Arkansas knocking him left and right out of the ballpark the two times that they played him, he may have had a chance to win it, but those two games against us, we kind of inflated that ERA a little bit. So, but you know, when you got a guy that hits 21 home runs and drives in 70 runs and hitting 350, it's hard to give the award to somebody else. So, you know, congratulations to him. That's the third one in the last 10 years. You know, I know everybody wants to win a championship, but I mean, that's pretty cool to have your program with three guys like Benintendi, who's still playing in the pros right now, hit a home run the other night, and Kevin Kopps, unfortunately, hasn't been able to get to the minors, but now you have Aloy. So we'll see where he goes in the draft here pretty soon.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You're going to see a guy like him. You know, he goes from, you know, out of high school, going to a school like Sacramento State. You know, props to Dave on just being a fantastic, you know, recruiter and seeing a developer and seeing potential in guys. Bringing Aloy over from Sac State, you know, coming over, has a decent year last year and then just kind of makes that jump to the next level this year, and was one of the leaders on this team, and um, great eye out on some talent, and grabbing him, and so congratulations to Wehiwa. Can't wait to, like Hobbs said, see where he goes in the draft in about a month or so. More than likely going to be a top 20 pick easily, and can't wait to see what he does through the minors and how quickly he can kind of get through that as well. And so, like Transplant Texans says here, congrats to Wehiwa on winning that Golden Spikes. He says congrats to Gage Wood on the College World Series no-hitter record. Book performance, another example of a guy that made some money in the College World Series and is going to be a top 20 pick. I feel confident in as well. So it's big to see those individual performances as well. It's like, unfortunately, though, at the end of the day, Arkansas and I think the entire fan base was wanting that natty. And, we didn't have our show on Thursday, kind of everybody processing everything after a very surprising game on Wednesday night, where kind of things just fell apart for Arkansas. We'll quickly hit on this. Don't want to necessarily relive this too much, but I mean, you're going into the bottom of the ninth with a 2-run lead, 3 outs. That's what you need. You get that first out. All right, and then you get a couple guys on. Base knock right to Wehiwa at short. We've seen him make this play several times. He goes to third base, gets out the lead runner. The controversial there as well. Why didn't he go for the double play? It's a fast game. You're in a spot where, it's a high paced, high adrenaline pumping. And I think he just wanted out at that moment. You get past that. Next up, you're looking at, a fly ball to left for Davlon, who, trips, gets hung up there and tries to dive, and ball goes off his glove or shoulder. And, 2-run score. It's still a tie game at this point. You still got a chance here. And then, kind of the final nail in the coffin there is 9 out of 10 times a ball that Kojal's going to catch at second base off the tip of his glove for that walk-off run to come in and score. So your guys' thoughts on those 3 plays that ultimately was the unraveling for Arkansas in the College World Series?
Yeah. I don't really, I know why it's the case, but that missed catch in left field by Chuck Davlon, that's really where everybody's like really pushing, making fun of Arkansas and blah, blah, blah. Like that's the reason why they lost in the 9th inning. And first, like my opinion, that, where Wehiwa didn't turn that double play, that was where Arkansas lost the game. Lost that inning, I guess. Like they could have done better throughout the entire game, right? It's not just one inning. There's 9. There's not just one play. There's a whole, crap ton of them. But if Wehiwa turns that double play, even if they don't, or tries for the double play, even if they don't get the guy at first, they're still missing the guy at second. They only scored 2 runs in that next at bat. So even if Chuck Davlon does miss it on that next at bat, they only score 1 run and Arkansas is still up by 1. So that was really like not the nail in the coffin, but that was like the reason why that got so bad. Is because, well, I guess they still would have had to for the guy at first. Still, it just doesn't. I feel like that was the best way for Arkansas to win, and I can't really fault Davlon, because sometimes those balls look weird coming off the bat, and it felt like it dropped pretty quick, and he slipped, and it's a whole bunch of stuff like that. But the reason why that's what everybody picks on is because it's so reminiscent of 2018. They look like routine plays that Arkansas just misses. Yeah, and it's just I don't know. Plus, if you have second base in a different position whenever they hit that ball, or hey, you know what? Why don't you walk them instead of pitching at them? There's a whole bunch of things that could have went better, and it just kind of all like came down at once. So there's no reason why you should be picking on Chuck Davalon or you be picking on Wehiwa Aloy or anybody really, because there was so many things that went wrong at one time. It almost feels supernatural. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to get into this whole curse thing, but it just doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like that could just happen all at once like that. It just, I don't know, man. It's so weird. And it was heartbreaking. So it's just sucks.
Yeah, that's the only way you can put it, is heartbreaking. I mean, I text you, Caleb, and told you there's no way I'm going to do a show tomorrow night. No way. I need some time. This has got to be the worst way possible to lose a game. So just very uncharacteristic. We had the best fielding team in the country, and in the College World Series, and it just seemed like what could go wrong went wrong, and it was just one thing on top of the other. And unfortunately, sports have a lot to do with momentum, and it's just it was piled on top of the other. And whenever that ball hit off of Davalon and rolled all the way to the fence and they tied the game, it didn't matter what happened at that point. The fate had already. It's kind of like them Final Destination movies where you try to escape death and it's still going to catch you. It feel like that's just us, man. I don't know. I don't understand, man. Like we're cursed. I have no explanation from what I saw in the night.
So I'm blaming you. I'm blaming you because you didn't hit the wood. Hobbs, you weren't hitting the wood, so I'm blaming you for that.
Well, I didn't expect that a curse was gonna kill us. We beat ourselves. We had the game won, and there's no telling what happens in the next game. So
yeah,
I just if it wasn't for the number one pick in the draft, who's going to be the number one pick in the draft, shutting us down, and having to play LSU first, our path could be way different. So. And that's what I've tried to explain to people. Like, y'all, that's all I started to hear. It's the same old song and dance. Nate Thompson this, Nate Thompson that. Well, it was one performance. The pitcher shut anybody down. He did the same thing to Coastal yesterday. And then the second game, we didn't really need any offense. All we needed was one because we had the best pitching performance in Arkansas history. In the next two games, we scored 12 runs, averaged 6 runs a game. And that's all you can ask for in Omaha. So, yeah, it's just tough, man.
Yeah. It's like, Transplant Texan said here, we're all heartbroken by the way the Hawgs went out, but the sun rose and we all still woke up calling ourselves Arkansas baseball fans. This team was special, a real connection with the fans. And that's the way you got to look at it. At the end of the day, yeah, we didn't take home the championship, but still look at what this team did. Special team, broke the record for home runs in a single season. You had that performance from Gage Wood. You have Wehiwa winning the Golden Spikes, adding to Arkansas's Golden Spikes winner. There's a lot of great things to look at for this season. Yeah, it sucks that we didn't win the national championship. I think a lot of other people would agree this team probably had the best, odds to do it in the last few years of the teams that have been put together by Dave. But at the end of the day, you still win 50 plus games in a season. You lose 15 over an entire college baseball season. You talk about consistency, and I think at the end of the day, everybody will agree Dave deserves a championship. And I think, if he, however long he decides to keep coaching, I think he's going to continue to have consistent seasons, consistent teams that are going to give him opportunity year in and year out to get there and to get it done. And that's what you got to remember. Yeah, unfortunately, it's sad right now, and you saw LSU go on to win it today in 2 games against Coastal. And it's, Transplant Texan said here, premonition from many, the winner of the first LSU Arkansas game on opening weekend would win the College World Series. Unfortunately, LSU won that game and went on to win it. I mean, we said it. We didn't really have a doubt. I started getting, thoughts about maybe Will Coastal has enough to go on it. But, at the end of the day, though, I'm still proud of this Arkansas team for what they've done and the season that they had, going through up until the College World Series, undefeated, sweeping the regional, sweeping the supers. Still overall a great season for this team.
Maybe being so consistent is, this is completely a joke. Maybe being so consistent is why they can never get through Omaha, because if you're consistently good during the regular season, then why wouldn't you consistently choke during the College World Series? Maybe consistency is the wrong. Maybe Dave Van Horn just needs to have one really bad season, and then the next season comes back and wins the College World Series.
Well, they've had that. You talking about like not
like
one season
9 years ago.
Well, they had the year where like 3 years ago where they went on the road and still made it to within a game of going to the championship. So they've done it every which way you can think of.
I meant like not even make the tournament. Bad.
That happens
bad
with our talent.
Like
we got
one step above like Missouri bad, if that makes sense. And then come back. Like
Texas
I'll trade
A&M
one of those years
wants
for
to be
a
Texas
College World
A&M.
Series championship.
Watch Texas A&M come back and just go off next year. Watch it,
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Except, I feel like Texas A&M is because you look at their history. I mean, they're not good at hardly anything. Like historically, Arkansas has a better football
Why
program.
do they rank them
better
the number
basketball
one
program.
toughest place to play in football on either college football game?
Because it's a tough place to play. They just have a sucky team. Maybe if they had regular cheerleaders, maybe they would win some more games there. I don't know.
Oh man.
Oh.
But I mean, it's an intimidating place. It's huge. You got all those people. Yeah. It's anyway.
So as we look at it, you kind of, talking about moving forward here, if you kind of start looking towards next season for Arkansas, who's going to be here, who's not, we're kind of starting to find that out now with, the season over, transfer portal, things like that. So we'll run through some quick updates of, guys out of eligibility, guys that have entered the portal for Arkansas, and guys that could potentially return. So, guys out of eligibility, starting off, Dylan Carter. That one's a little tricky one because with the new rules put in place, he could potentially come back for another season with the whole NCAA's blanket waiver for ex-JUCO athletes. So he's one to keep an eye on that might come back another year. We'll see what happens with him. Will McIntyre, Rocco Pepe, Kendall Diggs, Logan Maxwell, Carson Bowles, all out of eligibility after this season. Guys for Arkansas has entered the transfer portal. Right-handed pitcher Tag Andrews, left-handed pitcher Luke Williams, right-handed pitcher Ross Felder, left-handed pitcher Jackson Farrell, Gabe Frazier, our infield shortstop, Michael Anderson, first baseman, Zane Becker, freshman catcher, and Elliot Peterson, catcher. Two of those names on that list are two that surprised me. Other than that, can't really say a ton, but Gabe Frazier and Zane Becker, two guys that kind of surprised me to see those guys enter the portal. Frazier, especially because I thought he would be a competitor for the starting shortstop position next year. But to think like many of other Arkansas baseball fans, if a guy like him that's talented is leaving, Dave's got a plan. That's the way I'm going to choose to look at this, is that, it sucks that you're losing a good player like him, but if he's leaving, it's probably because Dave's already got something in the works to replace your Golden Spikes winning shortstop after this season. And then Zane Becker, one hand, I don't blame him because you're going to have to sit behind Ryder Helfrich for another season since he's not draft eligible this year. And maybe he wants to get some playing time before he's draft eligible, something to that effect. But, I mean, if you're at Arkansas and the way they develop catchers here too, it's those two are the biggest surprises for me so far. Looking at incoming transfers for Arkansas next season, as of now, Little Rock right-handed pitcher Jackson Wells, if you remember him, he's the guy that went into Baton Rouge in the regional down there and helped them, extend that regional with LSU. In 17 games, he started 16 this year with a 3-8 win-loss record to finish the season with a 5.36 ERA, 87 in the third innings pitched, allowed 95 hits, 52 earned runs, 35 walks, 97 strikeouts. And then you're also picking up Vanderbilt left-handed pitcher Ethan McAvane, 16 games or appearances, 5 started, 2-3 win-loss record, a 7.24 ERA, 27 in the third innings pitched, 31 hits, 22 earned runs, 28 walks, and 45 strikeouts. Those two guys, let Matt Hobbs get his hands on those guys and see what he does transformative with Arkansas's facilities and, what he's done with some of the pitchers in the past that can come in and elevate them to the next level. JUCO transfers, Johnson County Community College right-handed pitcher Denton Biller, 15 games, 4.20 ERA, 64 in the third innings pitched, 69 strikeouts, 23 walks, 57 hits, 30 earned runs with a 10-0 win and loss record. McLennan County right-handed pitcher Isaac Goddard, no stats for him. And then McLennan Community College infielder Sherman Johnson, 59 games played in this past season, 216 at bats, hit for 319 average, 69 hits, 9 home runs, 51 RBIs, 35 walks, 39 strikeouts, and 21 stolen bases. High school signees, we won't necessarily run through this list because you've got signees. You got to really wait till after the draft to figure out on those guys who will really get to campus and potentially be contributors. So, guys, your thoughts on this list of guys leaving, transferring out of eligibility, and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I believe that what's his name? David Van Horn's got a plan, and he'll have this team ready to go again next season. I don't know if he'll be able to get the type of squad he had this year, because it's kind of like one in a million type squad for. Well, I wouldn't say 1 in a million, but it's rare. We really hadn't had one like this ever. So they're going to be solid either way, right? And I've talked so many times about how baseball is a game of luck. So it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even mean that Arkansas is not going to do well next season with a team that's slightly less talented or whatever. They may even do better than this team did. So we'll just have to see. And yeah, it sucks. Like with Rocco Pepe and Kendall Diggs, seeing them both leave. Like Rocco came in here with, I wouldn't say a whole lot of hype, but he had pretty good hype. And just to see him not really, pan out. And then Kendall Diggs, oh man, the last couple of years just have been bad. Because he either gets hurt or he hasn't been able to, shake that injury bug. And he's good. Like I feel like he could probably go play for like a non-affiliate team, like right out of college, and maybe work his way up. But it just sucks how it ended for him.
Yeah, I mean, just think about what you just said. This team, you had 2 guys that were expected to be a big part of this team this year, and they weren't really didn't hardly do anything. So that's how good this team was. So there really wasn't any holes in it, and we had a lot of depth. So right now we got, we don't really know completely yet, but we got to know what the draft holds, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have several players get drafted pretty high off this team. So like Charles Davidline, he's gone. He's not coming back. He'll be a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Aloy, obviously a 1st round pick. And then our whole starting rotation, which Gackle will be a starter again next year. You can go ahead and take that to the bank. That's going to happen again. But Root, Vital Cheese Root's going to be high drafted. Gage Wood, high drafted. So those guys are gone. So it'll be a lot of pieces to replace. We'll see if we can get Wiggins back next year at a decent time. We'll see how long that goes. But Souza as well. But Frazier is. I had somebody told me he should have been starting over Iredell. Stop it. Stop with all that. First of all, Frazier had an injury coming into the season. He couldn't play for a while or even throw the baseball. And then he got banged up again, I think, at the Georgia series. So it's not like he was completely healthy all year. And then once you get a lineup that's pretty much rolling, you don't want to change things up. So that's probably part of the reason why he's gone too. But yeah, and then I keep getting asked, is Cozell coming back? I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't be coming back. I mean, he's not draft eligible. So he's either coming back or he's leaving, and he wouldn't be. I don't see him leaving a place that he can go fishing every day at. And this was really his main spot that he wanted to be to begin with, but yeah, Peyton Stovall here. So I don't see him really leaving. So I'm sure he's going to be back.
Yeah, I mean, for me, looking at it, looking at it, you're more than likely you're going to have to replace at least 2/3 of your outfield. I'm holding on to maybe we get Justin Thomas back. I would love to see him back again for another season. And then, you're replacing obviously your shortstop, more than likely your third baseman. You're getting Kojal ideally would be back. I would think maybe Robinette's back. You're a healthy Souza next year. You're going to play him. Maybe with Kojal at second base, you play Souza at third, or I don't know. Maybe you shift Kojal back to first base and have him playing first and Souza at second. But then, you have that leaves Robinette out. And I liked what I saw from him late in the season this year. And you mentioned it before the show as far as the outfielders. There's a guy on the roster named Brenton Clark that could potentially be, a really good player for Arkansas in the outfield next season. So it's going to be interesting to see how the infield shakes out. Like I said, I'd love to see Justin Thomas back next season. But then to your point, Hobbs, you're going to see Geckel for sure get that opportunity to be a starter next year. I actually saw it today, which, makes good sense, is you could potentially have if Geckel can figure out how to start games and get through that first inning, he'll be golden. Because, second inning on, fantastic performances from him, especially looking at him coming out of the bullpen this year. If he can kind of figure out how to get that, I guess, starter mentality, if you will, and be able to, start off the game strong and then, cruise through it. But you could have a dangerous 1-2 punch next year with Gabe Geckel and Cole Gibbler as two starters.
I mean, plus you'll also probably have you were talking about the outfield. I mean, you'll probably have Cahillo, right? You think he would probably be playing outfield? Unless they can find somebody unless they have someone underneath them come up or find somebody in the transfer portal. I feel like he's like the next one in line. It just depends on how good his fielding can be.
Yeah, that transfer portal, that's the big key. So, unfortunately, we're not able to know who we get until we actually get them, because those all conversations happen behind the scenes. But I'm pretty sure that they're working relentlessly to rebuild. I don't think they're going to change the formula. Lefties that can hit both sides of the both hands. That was the formula this year. So, just get a couple of good outfielders and get a good shortstop, and we're ready to roll again.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, it's like Dave said. Even if you have to, you watch the post game press conference. It's like he said he had for the season to be over already, but for him, he said I've got to start calling kids tomorrow and start setting up things, and get on the recruiting transfer portal game, because that's that day and age, and so these kids get time to kind of process through things and Dave doesn't truly get that because he's back on the road and back on the phone with these kids and rebuilding this roster for next season. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who goes. And the draft is a big part of that. That's the one factor compared to basketball and football that baseball brings with it. You've got to wait till after the draft to find out. Yeah, you have this really great signing class, but how many of those guys are actually going to make it to campus and not decide to take what they're drafted or offered by these teams, or even guys that are on your roster that are draft eligible. You might have a guy that you weren't expecting to go, but and vice versa. You might have a guy that you thought, all right, there's no way he's coming back, but does decide to come back. So that's going to be the long game of this. Is out of the transfer portal, you won't know until they actually commit, and depending on the age of guys out of the transfer portal, they're still draft eligible. So they were saying, I'm going to commit to Arkansas, but also I'm going to see what happens in the draft as well. So there's a lot of factors there. So over the next few months, we'll be keeping an eye out and seeing what happens with this team. But not a ton of pieces to replace. Ideally, if you get some people back, but it's like Transplant Texan said here, man, shout out to Justin Thomas. He rose to the occasion, had an incredible College World Series performance at the plate. He's been a consistent 9-hole hitter, made it a slot to fear in our batting order. Great performances by JT all year long, but especially in the College World Series, especially in that last game that, he gave us the lead in that game. He came out and had clutch and timely hits, and, love to see him back next year. But, if that didn't enough for him to get the type of money in the draft he wanted, good for him as well.
Like if Davlon ends up going, which we all think he will, right? What do you think about putting him as like the next leadoff hitter? Like, especially if he can get that batting average up a little bit. I mean, basically that's what he was in the 9-hole.
Yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't be a leadoff hitter. It just depends on who's on the roster.
Like, I just think that's a good spot for him.
He's got the speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, at the start of the year, Thomas was very strikeout heavy, and then he really cut that down. I mean, he just really started to hit the ball really well. And I think you'll probably see him get a little bit more stolen bases next year. You see, that's what this team was really built to, run the bases really well, and they didn't have to do that in the regular season. And they got to Omaha, and you saw them do that. So, yeah, it's just it's going to be interesting to see who we get in and where the lineup looks like. But I mean, he's very capable of being a leadoff hitter, obviously. But
he reminds me a lot of Yosenberger from a few seasons ago.
Yosenberger, yeah, I can see that for sure. But yeah.
Did you see, like, in that last game, he finally got over 300 too? So that means seven of our batters finished over 300 this year.
Yeah, he was great. The College World Series, really. Those three at the bottom, Robinette, Iredale, and Thomas, they all really hit the ball well there. I mean, Iredale had 2 hits against UCLA and then came through with a big-time double that got the runners to second and third for Thomas to get the 2-run hit. So they really played well. I mean, really the whole lineup, when you think about what they did, when you go to Davlon, no, he didn't have a signature moment, but he got on base quite a lot. And then Aloy obviously hit a home run against UCLA, and Maxwell had a big-time hit in that game, and Helfrich hit a ball 400 feet against LSU. Really go down the line. Kihio was probably the only one that didn't do a whole lot. He did have a couple of base hits, and then Cozell didn't really have a signature hit, but he had some hits. But yeah, it's just it's unfortunate.
I think the big thing for me is in this offseason, heavily work with Kihio on how to hit sliders and breaking balls, please.
Yeah. And like zone recognition too, because you know how many times he just watched like balls at the bottom, like away, bottom of the zone away, just like go in, like every strike 3, like he just watched it go through. So yeah, I think that's that, and most of them were breaking balls too.
Hey, if he can have the development and jump that his brother made from year
Right.
1 to year 2 with Arkansas,
Bro, he's going to be batting 400 if that happens.
so. But let me throw this out here at you. Depending on who they brings in the transfer portal, I could see Arkansas have a starting pitching rotation of Gabe Gackle, Cole Gibbler, and Aiden Jimenez. You got right, left, right there. So there's one potential starting rotation you have. I don't know how much some of those other guys will be expected to, like the guys we talked about between the two transfers, Wells and the Vanderbilt pitcher McIlvain coming in, but that doesn't seem like a bad starting rotation to me.
No, I don't. But I don't think. I think the pitchers. We get pitchers galore in the transfer portal. So I don't know. I don't know who's going to end up coming here. But I mean, we got Mason Molina the year before. That was a big time transfer portal pickup, and then Zach Root, obviously, and Vital Cheese. So
maybe we can grab one or two of those Coastal Carolina pitchers.
Yeah, we'll see. That'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
Let's do our fair share of tampering over here.
Let's do it. I'm tired of being tampered with. Let's just go tamper other people.
Be the tamperee or the tamperer.
That's true.
But Trent Splin said felt some empathy for Kojo living out a childhood dream, playing at the College World Series on the field that his father maintains. So, yeah, I think he'll be
talk
back.
About something.
Yeah.
No.
So I don't know if you guys saw that tweet by Bubba Carpenter. It was like Thursday or Friday. Let me find it. But it was basically
what happens in the dugout should be kept private.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So, well, here's what I like. Here's my thing. One of the biggest examples of why I don't think it necessarily, like, I think what they say to each other, that should be, kept there. But like the embracing and like showing the humanity behind it, like these guys, it meant something. I think that is totally can be filmed and should be and sent out, because there's that one scene. There's that one instance where you see Kojo and his dad like embrace, right? And like, you don't know what they're saying, but you know what they're saying, kind of thing. And while it is a personal moment, you know who's going to love seeing that like the rest of their lives? Probably Kojo's family, right? His mom wasn't there to see it. And that's like just a really heartwarming thing that they'll get to cherish for the rest of their life. And they're not going to look back at that and feel like embarrassed or, feel the pain of losing the College World Series. They're going to remember that moment where their buddies, their brothers came in, what's the word? Comforted them. And then Coach was going to see that where his dad came and comforted him. And it's a big moment that those guys are going to be able to keep forever. Right now, I would draw the line. Like, I don't want like reporters in the dugout, like listening and then reporting on what they say, but like 30 seconds of seeing how much this meant to those guys. When you see like everybody just talking crap online on these dudes, like Charles Devilon obviously got the worst, but you look at that 30-second video and you see how much it meant to him. And it gives it humanity. Like, you can just talk all the crap you want, but you're going to have to do it while facing that as well, if that makes any sense. So I don't know. You brought up Transplant Texan brought it up, and it just I mean, that's stuff that those people are going to love forever. If Kojo never goes back to the College World Series, that's the only moment he's ever going to have with his father, there. So now he's got it on video, and they can keep it, and he can show his children and his grandchildren, and so on and so on. So I don't know. It rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, and I just didn't like how he put it. I understand where he's coming from. I really do. It's just like, there's no reason to be, getting mad at somebody who videotaped something for 30 seconds.
Fair. I get that 100%. It's very interested to see. It's like Transplant Tech said, fans can see the dugout. The post LSU loss emotion was not behind closed doors. Agreed. It was humanizing moment and endeared them more to the fans. We felt the loss with them. My wife said, I completely agree, Austin. I look back on the videos with my dad and know what they mean and that they mean everything. And so, yeah, I mean, it's that 50-50 mark of where seeing, the emotion helps you understand, yeah, they're ball players, they're Razorbacks, but they're still also kids, humans that feel these emotions and, deal with everything that happens as well. And, when you look at it too,
and here's the thing, like, if it's because like it's embarrassing or it may be embarrassing, Chuck Davalon has nothing to be embarrassed about, right? Like, that was just one play in an entire season of really good plays. And, if anybody tells you they haven't shed a tear for a football game or a baseball game or a basketball game, one, they either don't really love that team or they're liars, right? So, like, if you're going to make fun of somebody, okay, sure. But we know you all have cried over something. It doesn't matter how old you were. If you were playing in a game like that, of course you cried. Like, whenever I finished my high school career, it was on a play quite like that where I messed up and it screwed up the play. And I mean, it tore me up. And that's the last thing I had to remember about football. Now, if I would have had videos of like my teammates embracing me or my coaches doing that, I would love to have it. So it's kind of one of those things. Like, there's no reason to be embarrassed, but I understand like wanting to like protect players as well, if that makes sense. So it's like, I don't think Bubba was coming at it from any kind of, bad way. I just think it was just a little over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's, at the end of the day, we always have to remember it's just a game. But I understand people get emotional about it, and it's tough, man. So it took me a few days to come back to earth too on it. So, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. And the big thing about Charles Davalon is, yeah, that sucks, and you're never going to forget that moment. But this dude's going to be a second, third round pick. He's going to be just fine. So
Yeah.
The great thing about it is this is not where it ends. He gets to keep playing baseball here in a few months. Once he gets drafted, he gets to go wherever he's going and start playing baseball. So, it sucks right now, but the future is bright. Same thing with Aloy, who didn't turn the double play. Got nothing to hang your head on. You won the Player of the Year. That's the thing that people don't realize. And, I know it sucks that we didn't win the national championship, and people are like, it's not a good year unless you win it. Well, if that was the case, and only one team can have a good season every year, I guess. So, but I mean, the team won 50 games. They set multiple records that are going to stand for probably a long time. They had the National Player of the Year. They're going to get several players get drafted pretty high that you'll be able to watch in professional baseball someday soon. So it wasn't the worst thing. Yeah, it sucked the way it ended, but all we can do is we're going to try again next year, and hopefully it's different.
Yeah. It's like Transplant Texan said here, though, throughout all this journey in the season and the College World Series, salute to U of A coaching staff from other sports for attending and or tweeting about the baseball team, individual player accomplishments, but also still looking for something from Sam. Radio silence from Coach Pittman throughout all of this. It's that's a very interesting thing to think about. That's something that we'll get to in the coming weeks as we look for football season's right around the corner here. Fall camp will be here before you know it in about a month and a half. What was that, Hobbs?
I'm so excited. I can't hide my emotion.
100%. So, but with that, speaking of coaches, very much you saw a lot of Coach Cal supporting this team. But before I get there, I want to mention this that I saw it the other day, and it's not getting as much headwind as I thought it would be. Did you realize? I don't think any other university's done this, where baseball and softball both had SEC Player of the Year and the Player of the Year in baseball, softball, with Brielis winning Player of the Year and Wehiwa winning the Golden Spikes. I don't think any other universities had that, where those two players have both won the Conference Player of the Year and the overall Player of the Year. So great achievement for those two. And, the university, both the Diamond Sports, fantastic job there.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal. And like you said, this never happened before. Not in my research anyway. Mostly because softball relatively is new compared to baseball. And with those type of awards anyway. I mean, the Golden Spikes is 47. I think he's the 47th, right? And I think the USA softball or wherever they got the National Player of the Year award, they haven't been around nearly as long. So, it's the first time. Obviously, first time for Arkansas because she was the first Player of the Year for Arkansas ever. And I think it's just cool that Arkansas they're just dominating those diamond sports. And like Hobbs said, I mean, you can have good seasons without winning the national championship. And I think that's even more so the case in baseball and softball. Arkansas had great teams on both the, softball and baseball diamonds. So I don't know. I just see a good, future going, because I don't think Courtney Deifel is going to stop, anytime soon. And as long as Dave Van Horn doesn't retire, I don't think he's going to stop either. And I think they're building probably the most consistent baseball and softball teams in the country.
Exactly.
Or at least duos.
As my wife says here, Diamond Sports in the Diamond State.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, but as I was alluding to a while ago, you see Coach Cal supporting the baseball team and the programs and stuff. But have y'all seen some of this next season building that Cal's doing here? He's getting wanting all the smoke for next season as far as scheduling, as far as you look at non-conference here. Let's break this down real quick. Arkansas, some of their main non-conference games next year. Playing Duke in Chicago, Houston in New York, Texas Tech in Dallas, Louisville at home, Baylor at home, Michigan State away. Arkansas is playing the entire Elite Eight from this past season in the non-conference schedule next year.
Yeah. Once all that spoke, dude. Like, he's not backing down. Like, it's such a big philosophical change from where, like, Musselman was. Because they played nobody at the beginning of the year. And then Cal's, like, out here going against, like, he's like a UFC fighter that's trying to work his way up to the top. He's just like, whoever they are, if they're at the top, I want to fight them, basically. So yeah, that's it's going to put Arkansas in front of so many eyes. Because last year Arkansas had the most watched, I think it was the most watched college regular season basketball game since like 2008. And it was against Illinois of all teams, right? So now you got Arkansas versus Duke on the same day in Chicago instead of freaking like Kansas City or wherever it was. I mean, you're looking at even bigger audience because this is year 2 under Cal. And there's also questions about Duke without Cooper Flagg. So there's like a lot of stuff going into that game alone. And then you got Houston and Texas Tech. Like the Texas Tech one, like that's going to be, there might not be as many people watching it, but boy, that it's going to be rowdy because there's 2 or 3 guys who played in that Elite 8 game coming back for Tech. And then obviously we got our 4 returners. So that's it's going to be huge. It's going to be a huge matchup.
Yeah. I mean, it's this is what you want to see. You want to see the best versus the best. So, and it's going to prepare them for when the tournament comes around. So, you're probably gonna get to the point in the tournament like, dang, we're playing this team when we've played all these great teams. So, and then also, more importantly, it's gonna, if you lose a game or two, it's not gonna really hurt your ranking or your resume, because you're playing teams that can only help your resume. So, yeah, it's very smart, and like you said, yeah, when Musselman was here, we were playing the nobodies of the schools of the blind. So it's cool to see that. And have y'all seen Georgia's schedule? It's got to be the worst, like the easiest schedule I've ever seen in my life. They play absolutely nobody. So compared to what we're going to play. So, and but yeah, and can we talk about Tennessee fans not nonstop running their mouth for a minute? I don't understand where like, how do you lose to a team and then continue to talk crap to them? It makes no sense to me.
Bro, I had one dude who's a little troll on Razorbackers Facebook page, and he's gone back through like 5 or 6, I think maybe even 7 baseball posts and posted the exact same meme. And I'm like, bro, we kicked your butt, and just one of our guys just won the Golden Spikes. Like, what are you doing?
It's crazy to me because it's like they have no clue that their baseball team event was even existed a few years ago. So
and then they get one national title and they're all that now.
It's like they don't understand how the sport works. At least Kentucky basketball fans, at least they're smart enough to shut up whenever they get destroyed by the team they've been talking crap to, but Tennessee, like they can't let it go. Like that, they want to celebrate that we lost when we beat them. I don't understand.
Well, here's this. Kentucky is like a Rottweiler, while Tennessee fans are like Chihuahuas.
Oh my God!
You beat a Rottweiler good enough, he's not going to come back. You beat a Chihuahua, they're still going to come back until they're dead, basically.
Oh my gosh!
Oh. Transplant Texan said here, Vols and BBN have the worst fans on social media with a penchant for seeking out Arkansas content.
Oh my God, it's miserable. It's horrible. and who do y'all think the team is in SEC for football? Who's the one that gets on our nerves the most during football season?
I think for me and my household and with my wife, it's A&M fans.
You think so?
Could be Texas too, because they're always back.
I'm gonna go with Ole Miss.
I think Ole Miss is a pretty good one. But here's one, Missouri. They're always in the mentions.
I forgot they had fans because that's the only sport they're good at.
It's because they spend $30 million. Did you see that their NIL budget last athletic season was like $30 million? It's like you spend that much and you still can't do crap in basketball or baseball. Like,
yeah,
man.
Oh, Joe says, "What's up, fellas? Hanging out for a minute. Glad to see you jumping in here."
What's up, Joe?
But back to what we were talking about with Cal and this schedule he's putting together. It's like Transplant Texas said, Cal is putting together a remarkable non-conference schedule. Like Boogie, he's getting his one and done. Darius Acuff as close as he can get him in front of his hometown crowd, Detroit, not far from East Lansing for Michigan State.
Right.
But I was talking to a buddy today, and this is more than likely going to be Arkansas's toughest, or Cal's toughest schedule, non-conference schedule and basketball schedule since the season he won the title at Kentucky back in, I think it was 2012, in terms of who he's playing in non-conference. And just like, yeah, you're going to have some of those smaller school names in here, but like just the national stage Arkansas is going to be on in all these games is insane. It's going to help with recruiting. Yeah, I mean, on top of, what help do you need right now with Cal and then what Arkansas has done and what how he's done. But then on top of that, you're playing in all these national spotlight games. Thanksgiving, you're playing Duke on a big stage. You're playing, in these big professional arenas. Like you're going to be, if you come to Arkansas, you're going to get all the national attention you want. So you better be ready for it. And that helps kids get prepared for the NBA as well.
Look, the only thing I don't like about playing on Thanksgiving is I'm a big NFL guy, and I normally have 3 games on Thanksgiving.
Hey, your Cowboys are just going to lose, so you can get past it and just watch the Arkansas game.
Cowboys. I'm talking about fantasy football. So I watch all the games for all the players. So, you eat that big time meal at lunch, and then you're watching the Detroit Lions play because they're always an 11 o'clock game. And then you want to take a nap, but then you got the basketball game coming on too. So it's just a lot to deal with. So eating food and
Hobbs is just mad that he can't take a nap is what it is.
Exactly.
Hey, but look at this. Like, if Arkansas wins half those games, right? Okay, let's say 4 out of those 6 games. They're going into the regular SEC season like a top 10 team. It also depends on how well they do. Like Michigan State could obviously, I don't think Texas Tech will because they've kind of reloaded. Baylor and then Louisville. But if Arkansas, wins 4 of those, they're going to be one of the highest rated teams in the country going into the SEC. And I mean, if once you get through all of that, the SEC kind of feels a little bit easier. If we're looking at it that way.
Yeah. I mean,
and that might have been the thing where he felt like his team wasn't prepared enough for that SEC play last year. I don't know because they
which is weird because
slow.
Yeah, but you got to think they still had like 3 or 4 games like this last year too. They just didn't win any of them except for that one against Michigan.
When they beat Miami too in the ACC Challenge, so that as far as just it
Miami,
being not a small D2 school or like a small other conference, it was at least it was one of the Power 4.
Power 4.
Who's our first game? Do we at least get a cupcake to watch our guys play a little bit?
Oh, most likely.
Once we see the schedule release. Now they did have the schedule for our conference games next season. We know who's going to be home and who away, not necessarily who dates and everything, but looking at next season, you're home and away. So, that's one thing to look at too. As far as conference wise, who Arkansas is going to have in Bud Walton this year. You look at it, our home opponents are going to be Auburn, Kentucky, LSU, Missouri, South Carolina, Tennessee, A&M, Texas, and Vanderbilt. Your away games will be Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Mizzou, and Oklahoma. So you have a home and home with Auburn. You have a home and home with LSU, a home and home with Missouri.
Did you say Mississippi State at any point in that?
Away.
We play them at?
Yes.
We're in Starkville.
Yep.
I'll be there.
Uh-oh.
Who is this?
What is this? Is this a Kentucky fan?
Is it a Kentucky fan or a Tennessee fan?
I don't know. It's probably one of them because we were just talking about it. So it's like talking about the devil and they just show up.
It's just crazy, man.
That's
funny. Oh, man. But, so, it's another season, though, of not getting a home and home with Kentucky. The SEC's missing out on some monetary options there.
Yeah. I don't know how they generate these schedules. Who makes these decisions?
I don't either.
Because whoever makes them for football, I'm just
Transplant Texan proving the point, seeking out the content.
Like, did you put it in your search window? How does this pop up? How did you find this?
Who knows?
It's the crazy X, man.
Mm-mm-mm.
But yeah, no. Are you talking about not having Kentucky twice?
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's stupid.
I was about to say, of the best matchups in the SEC you could have.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get it last year. At least we're getting them here this year. I'm at least glad about that. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see as we get closer to that. But as we kind of get rounding out and wrapping up here, football is getting closer. You're only a few Saturdays away from college football being back. Here in the next probably week or so, we're going to start doing our position by position breakdowns, breaking down this roster, giving you an idea of the names to know, who to expect at what position, and what depth looks like for this Arkansas team going into this fall camp and into this season, where Arkansas yet again has, I think I saw it was ranked as the toughest schedule in college football. Once again, a title that Arkansas can't seem to shake over, the past, I don't know how many years. I think there's a conspiracy that the College Football Playoff Committee or the College Football Scheduling Committee hates Arkansas and wants to. It's like that meme you see that people post. It's like Arkansas fans and they're talking to Jesus and they're like, "Why are you giving us all your toughest tests?" And he's just like, "You're still alive. You're still here."
Every year, man.
Yeah. What do you call it? Yes. Are you talking about the Kelly Ford ratings?
Not necessarily his, but also just the strength of schedule and everything as well.
Right. So the ones that he put out for the strength of schedule, I don't know if you saw those, but it's kind of crazy once you think about it. What they do is they take historically what the average 12th ranked team power ratings wise would be, and then put it up against the schedule and see how that team would do against the schedule. And Arkansas has the worst because that historically power rated 12th team would only win 6.5 games with our schedule. So you could be historically the 12th best team or around the 12th best team in the country on average and still barely make a bowl game with that schedule.
So but we've got fans that think we need to win 8 or 9 games with this schedule.
Yeah.
So that's what kills me about all that.
Well, here's the thing, though. If Arkansas wins 9 games, especially if they go to a 16-team college football playoff, there is no reason why Arkansas shouldn't have at least be put up to the for discussion to crack into the college football playoffs.
Yeah, but there's also no reason we should have to go to Memphis.
That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. As long as they can keep the bus safe going through that city, it'll be fine.
Fair enough. And then it's like after Memphis, you're like, oh, yes, we finally get a home game. It's Notre Dame.
Yep.
Yeah. Transplant Texas said here, Arkansas fans are just so fatigued with football, the program can't give away the Kool-Aid this year. Fans are jaded and know it is Flavor Aid and would rather avoid the disappointment.
Hey, here's the thing, though. With those same ratings, Arkansas is going to play the toughest offenses, on average, than anybody in the country, too. So having a bad defense or a defense that's kind of put together this season, it's going to be a real big deal. But here's the opposite. Arkansas has the 13th highest defenses that they're going to play this year. So if Arkansas's offense can take the next step and actually score when they get within the red zone, it could be just a season of a whole bunch of points being scored, which, I mean, as a fan, I kind of like it. If Arkansas is going to lose, at least, watch a lot of points being scored. Did you just do a laugh track?
That's how
What
I
was
feel
that?
about what you just said.
I was like, that was impressive. We got buttons now.
Yeah, but
That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
oh man.
But yeah, so we'll get into all the football content here in a few weeks. We might even reach out to, like Austin said, and get the man Kelly Ford himself on the show to talk about Arkansas and his ranking system and everything like that. But I think I can save on the disappointment for now. As we get into some offseason stuff, we'll do, like I said, our position breakdowns. We'll look at the season, look at the schedule, and maybe try to throw in a few interesting episodes as it's that quote unquote dead period of time with sports. But yeah, it's football season. I think it's out of all the sports you got going on. I think the level of excitement is towards the bottom of that total poll with baseball, softball, basketball, everything that's going on right now. So we'll have to see what happens here. Hopefully we see, like Austin said, a lot of points, but we've got to have the guys that can catch the ball. Taylor Green can't do it all by himself. So we'll get into that as we get into our position breakdown. But
No, they got to be able to run the ball too. Our
Yeah.
running backs were completely unhealthy all year long. They were banged up like crazy. So
it all starts with the offensive line, and if
Mhm.
we can read into what is being
which
put out
they look
there,
like they're a better group, but we'll get into that.
yeah, exactly. So as we wrap up here, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss any time we go live. We're going to get ready to wrap up here. Everybody have a great beginning of your week this week, and we'll see you guys on Thursday as we get ready to move into the dead period and figure out what this potential college football season is going to look like for the Arkansas Razorbacks. But with that, from Hobbs, Austin, myself, we're going to get out of here. Everybody have a great beginning of your week, and we'll see you on Thursday.